the Lord didn't save them from the fire, he saved them in the fire.
Wow.
And like they
So
had to
good.
go in the fire for the Lord to deliver
That's good.
them.
Hey y'all, welcome back to For the Sake of a Generation podcast. I am so excited for today's episode. I have some of my friends on with me and some special guests, and we're just going to talk about worship today. So, I'm Caroline, and I have no experience with leading worship, but I love to worship Jesus, and I'm going to let the rest of them just share your name and your experience with worship so far, where you're at in your journey, how long it's been, whatever you want to share.
Cool. So my name's Anna. My first experience with leading worship was at a summer camp that I was raised at, and it was my third year on staff. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, you play guitar, come up with us." And I said, "Okay." And so at camp it was very like, there's no microphones, you don't plug your guitar up into an aux. It like, we're in the dark, you have to memorize your chords anyways, you can't look down at anything, you won't see anything. So it's very intimate. And I did that for 2 summers. I actually led the worship team at that camp the last summer. And my only problem is that it just didn't feel like worship. Like, it felt like a performance. Like, because it was at campfire, and people were expecting certain songs, like, because their songs have been passed around for generations. And no one was, like, there to worship. They were there to, like, experience campfire. Does that make sense? And so it was beautiful. It taught me a lot about playing guitar. I mean, I literally learned how to, I learned a lot about how to play guitar at camp. And so it boosted my confidence. It boosted, like, my ability to play guitar and my ability to get there and sing. But it didn't do a lot for me worship-wise, if that makes sense. And so I would just play my guitar here and there. I would write songs, worship with the Lord just intimately off-season, like during the school year. And then I came to App last year, and I got plugged in with New Life, and I I've always been very worshipful. I've always sang in the car. Ever since I was little, I was always singing all the time. I loved it so much. And my stepmom came up to me one day when I was like probably like a junior in high school. I'm tracking back a little bit. And she was like, "Anna, like, you love leading worship, like, why, or you love singing, like, why don't you lead worship?" And I said, "No, I do not have a good voice for that. Are you kidding? Like, I can't. People are not going to like what I have to like my voice. They're just not going to like it." And I just would tell myself, "No, I can't do that." She'd ask me that all the time. And I was like, "Nope, I can't. I physically can't. My ability is not good enough." And so I fast forward a couple years. I came to App, and the Lord had very specifically said, "Go to New Life." It was very clear. And so I did, and I just was in community. I met so many great friends. I learned so much about the Lord. And one of the friends I made was Noelle, and she was the leader of the worship team for New Life. And the Lord for like a month had been telling me to get into worship, to be a worship leader, but I said, "No, I can't do that. Like, that's not where you're calling me to. And also, if you say this to me, you're going to have to say it real loud and clear because I don't believe you." And so, anyways, I was at a worship night with a different church, and Noelle was there. And the whole night, the Lord said, "Tell her. Just tell her. You don't have to ask her to be on the worship team. Just tell her you want to." I was like, "Okay, God, I don't know what I'm doing." But I did. And before I even said it, she was like, I know you want to be a worship leader." And so it was just so sweet. It just felt like the Lord was like, "Here, my daughter, like, I got you. I got all the details taken care of."
That's so good.
And so a couple weeks later, I was at a worship night, and I was supposed to just sing backups and harmonies. Like, I wasn't supposed to lead a song. I wasn't supposed to have like me be the sole voice. It was just solely backup at a worship night, and Noelle was leading with me, and Zach, who co-led with her at the time, was like, hey, we're a song short. And they're like trying to figure out what to do. And Zach looks at me and he goes, Anna can do a song. And I said, Anna's not doing a song. Anna cannot lead a song. Anna's not doing that. And Noelle looks at me and she gave me those like mom eyes. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, I really think you should. And I was like, okay, all right.
Wow.
And so it was and it was such a process of trusting the Lord. And through it all, he kept on telling me, he was like, Anna, I'm not going to call you to something and abandon you. I'm not going to call you to something and just be like, all right, you got it. Sounds good. Like, he holds my hand, and he promised me that when I gave my yes to Noelle, to the worship team at New Life, he was going to walk with me through it, and he was going to teach me, and he was going to equip me. I was going to equip myself. He was going to equip me. And so it was a lot of just leaning back and trusting the Lord, and I led worship that all the next semester. And at the end of that semester, literally felt like I didn't really know anything still, even though I led worship like maybe 4 or 5 times. Noelle was like, hey, I've prayed about this a lot, and your pastor has prayed about this a lot, and other people have prayed about this a lot, and I believe that you're supposed to be the next co-leader of the worship team. And I was like, no, I can't. I told her no at first. I told her no. I was like, no, I can't do that. I've been leading worship for a semester. Like, I don't know the first thing about leading worship, let alone being the leader of the team. I can't do that. I just can't. And she was like, okay, well, I'm not going to pressure you, but I want you to think about it. And so we went to a worship team meeting that night, and we came back to her apartment, and I was like, you know what, Noelle? I feel like the Lord's telling me the same thing that he told me about giving my yes to leading worship in the first place, and that I need to have an act of faith, and I need to step out on it and give my yes.
Come on.
And he reminded me that he wasn't going to abandon me.
And
so I gave my yes, and the next semester, which was 2 semesters ago, I started co-leading the worship team, and I think that was the moment when the Lord showed me so much about worship, what it means to be a worship leader. Not only what it means to be a worship leader, what it means to be a leader of a team.
Right.
And it was really sweet because that whole first semester, I really felt like I didn't have any teacher but the Lord. And part of me felt abandoned, not by the Lord, but by other people. Like, I didn't feel like I had a mentor. I didn't feel like people had my back. It was solely the Lord. And honestly, I'm thankful for that, because who better to teach me about worship than the person we're worshiping?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it was just so sweet, and it's been so sweet to watch him just show me what it means to lead worship, because it's so different.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my experience.
I love
That's
it.
so good.
It speaks so much to his character.
Yeah, it does.
That's so good.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Olivia. My experience with worship is so different. I learned a lot about worship the last semester. The Lord very clearly asked me to start leading worship at the beginning of my first semester at App, which was last semester, the fall semester. And he confirmed it with like 4 or 5 different people coming up to me and telling me, hey, I think you're supposed to do this. Or even just like silly comments about worship, like assuming that I already led. And I was like, what is happening? And so it was just such a learning process. Hey guys, this is Olivia. Up until this point, the podcast has been completely self-funded by the team, and we've realized through prayer and just conversation with each other that we can't do it alone anymore. There are things that we need that we just don't have the money for, like a video camera and upfront costs of t-shirts and things like that, that we just can't do alone. So we've created a Venmo, and we would love if you guys feel led to give to the podcast at FSG Podcast. It'll be on the screen and in the description. We really love you guys, and we don't take it lightly that you would give money at all. It's really uncomfortable and hard for us to ask for money, but the Lord has given us a lot of peace about this. So if you feel led, we would just love and appreciate it if you would give to the FSG podcast. And so there's just like a lot of like it was so the Lord, it was undeniable because I did not want to do that. But I was like, what is happening? And I had never had something like that happen to me where multiple people prophesied something over me that I didn't even know from the Lord yet. Like, sometimes there's that, like, I know I'm supposed to do this, but I don't want to, and I'm being disobedient. And then someone will come up to you and say something, and it's like, crap, now they know. Like, now I have to do it. But it wasn't even like that. I just didn't even feel like that was for me. Like, I just didn't even feel like that was something the Lord would ever call me to do. And so it was other people telling me that they felt like the Lord was in that I then took it to the Lord and asked him about it. And it was such a process of, like, taking something to him that I didn't even know was from him and letting him tell me whether or not it was him. And it was so clear. He made it so abundantly clear. But it was hard. And I met with Anna for coffee one day. And she was like, I really feel like the Lord is asking you to do this. And I was like, me too. And he's telling me, he told me in that moment, he was like, ask her to be your worship mentor. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. And I was like, this is really weird. But the Lord, this is the first time I'd ever met with Anna. We weren't friends yet. And I was like, I feel like the Lord is asking me to ask you if you'll mentor me in worship. And she, her eyes filled with tears, and she was like, that's exactly what I feel called to do with people, is to mentor them in worship and, teach them what it means to worship purely. And she was like, I actually had someone, she was talking about Noelle, that did that for me and set the table for me so that I would be able to eat and to feast on that and to know what it was so that I could share it with other people. And it was just really cool, to learn that the Lord had ordained so many people before me so that when I came around, there was a process. There was already a stable, structure, and people had prayed for my participation.
So good.
It was so cool. It was like I was stepping into something and you could feel the covering over it. You could feel that the Lord was in it and that someone had laid a foundation and had labored for that. And it's been so cool because all throughout the process of learning and stepping into something new, the Lord has reminded me that this isn't anything new. That people have been worshiping since the throne room. It's not new, and everything new that happens from the stage or just in secret with him, is a repetition of what's happening there in heaven. And so I've learned a lot about what it means to be a worship leader, but also through the process learned what worship really is. That it's not singing a song, it's not a performance, it's not even jumping up and down or anything that you think of with praise or worship in music, but it's just laying your life down. Picking up your cross is worship, and anything that's costly is worship. And so, honoring the Lord with any decision you make is worship. And for me, it was physical worship, laying my life down in the sense of not wanting to get on the stage and perform, but giving my life to the Lord and saying, have your way, right?
Yeah. That's good.
There was that process, and in that, he taught me that was worship. Sacrifice was worship.
So good. I think it's so cool, to hear both of y'all's stories, because I was friends with Noelle as well, but not in a worship way. But obviously I learned about worship from her because that was so much of her heart. But she would always say to me, I've learned that being a good worship leader isn't about anything I do on a stage, but about how I can help other people, how I can raise other people up.
So good.
And it's so cool because the Lord really impressed that on her last year as she was leading you, and then you've been able to just impart that. And
it's so good.
You'll probably impart that to someone else, and that's just it's like a generational blessing in a non-bloodline kind of way.
It is.
It's
so
good. In the DNA of New Life worship. And I think that is so cool.
It is so beautiful.
It's so much bigger than even Noelle. It's just, that's the Lord's desire, is that we And anyone who's called to leadership in any capacity would learn how to not only get in front of a microphone. That's like the least important part of it. You know, the most important part is to bring other people up with you.
Yeah.
And y'all's stories are both just such a testament to that.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, that was something that the Lord taught me. Like, when I said, like, the Lord taught me how to be a leader, that was one of the things that he was like, Anna, like, you can be a good leader and never sing on that stage.
Right.
Like, you can be a good leader and never lead worship. And that, in the sense of, like, I had to separate in my brain. Like, me being a worship leader is different from me leading the worship team. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's true.
And so, like, when you asked me to be me to be your mentor, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so unqualified. But it's so sweet because, like, I feel like you have, like, taught me so much more. Like, I don't even feel like I'm your mentor. Like, I feel like it's just, like, a sweet friendship that, like, I teach you, you teach me. Like, we impart to each other, you know?
Good.
Yeah, it's so cool. Me and Anna have the craziest revelations about, like, the worship, like, people that we worship with, like, the team in general. Like, when I met Noelle, it was like, whoa, like, this is the physical person that I've been feeling this, like, intense spiritual, just, like, protection and almost like a mothering in the faith. Like, she is such a mom to us. Like, it's so like, funny. It's just such a, it's a bloodline. Like you said, it's a bloodline spiritually that the Lord has ordained. And to think that, like, I met her, but I know the people that went before her and prepared the way.
Right.
But also, like, in a way, it's really cool because it has nothing to do with worship. She's committed to prayer.
Yes.
And you can feel it. Like, you can feel it. Prayer is such it's warfare. It's how we war. And she has worked the ground in prayer.
Yes.
And the people that went before her did too, but it's just like, it was so cool to, like, meet her in the flesh and to really like feel it. Like, I remember, like, hugging her for the first time and being like, oh,
you pioneered what I'm walking in.
Yeah. It's like I'm walking on the ground that you labored for. It's so cool.
And it's so sweet because I have these conversations with Noah all the time, and it's like, well, she would tell me about the girl who did that for her, like, and I remember talking on the phone with her. I was telling her about you, like, I was telling her, like, how, like, I get to pour out now because she poured into me. And she was like, Anna, it's a dance that's never gonna end. Like, you're gonna go somewhere else and you're gonna pour into someone else, and you're gonna go somewhere else and you're gonna pour into someone else. Like, it's a dance that is always gonna happen because the Lord, that's how he works.
It's his kingdom.
So good.
Yeah.
That's
so good. So good. Well, Aubrey, you're the only one left, and your story is a little different.
Mine's very different, actually. So I've been singing my whole life. A little bit about my testimony is I grew up in the church. Praise the Lord for that. And so I've been around music my whole life. Like, I am the girl that sings all the time. And, like, I've been that my whole entire life. And, like, I think I was like there's a picture of me. I was like 3 and I was singing at church with a mic in my hand. Like, it's been what I've been doing my whole life.
It's so cool.
And so, like, I think I was 13 and I was, like, singing at church every single Sunday. And so worship is something I've known about my whole life, but I've known about it. And then the older I've gotten and the more, like, I've matured in my walk with Christ, like, I know worship, but I still learn every day. Like, I would never sit here and tell you I know what that means, because he teaches me and humbles me every single day. But so, like, around 13, 14, I was, like, worship leader. Like, I was leading every single Sunday. And then we ended up moving churches, and I was like, okay, Lord, like, don't really know what's going to happen here. And then I ended up getting on that worship team too. And so then when we got at our new church, I was like, Lord, I really don't know if that's going to work out. And then immediately I was placed on that worship team. Like, the transition was seamless. And I was like, okay, Lord. And so I got on that team, and, like, I was learning more about music itself. Like, my foundation of music came from, like, my first church in my hometown. And then it just, like, kept building and building. So my music foundation was building, but so was, like, the spiritual aspect and, like, what it meant to worship. But, like, to be so honest, being around worship your whole life and singing in church your whole life, I've had such a hard time like finding a difference between singing
Yeah.
and actually leading worship.
That's so good.
And like that's something like especially coming to App State and like coming to New Life, which is just such a God thing, which I'll get to in this story. But like he's just shown me that leading worship and just singing on a stage is completely different.
So good.
Because like I've had Sundays when I was like 16 where I'm just like singing and like he's just not in it. Not that he doesn't want to be, because he's just standing there and he's like knocking on the door and he's like let me in, and I'm like no, I'm up here singing. Like that's not what it's about. And that's something he's had to humble me a lot, because I think so much like in the culture of the church, it's so easy to perform. And that's not what worship is, because worship is a lifestyle of laying your life out to the Lord. Like, and it's not that he's just your savior, but he's your Lord too. And like when he's your Lord, he controls all of your life.
Really
and so
good.
worship is just like, I think of it like giving my life back to him, and like my worship is my bridge. Like it's like I might feel distant, and then I worship and he's right there. It's like my bridge to heaven, my bridge to the Father. And that's how I think about it. And so anyway, I was like growing in my worship and learning all of that. And then I graduated high school, and I was like finishing up my summer at home, and I was like, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I'm coming to Boone. The only person I know is my roommate from home. Like I know no one else here. I was like, I know I want to find a church family. I know I want to find a ministry, and Lord, I want to lead worship, because like I've put my identity in worship, and not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but I put my identity as being on a stage and being a worship leader, and not someone that just worships the Lord.
It's good.
If that makes sense.
That's very different.
And so like it was so scary, because I was like, I just lost who I am. Like
Wow.
Aubrey leads worship, and like if she isn't doing that, then who is she? Well, like I was just doing a lot of like praying with the Lord, and then ending up I came to Boone, and then legit the first Sunday after moving, me and my roommate Charlotte, we came to Harvest House, and I just felt at home. Like the worship was like what I've been longing for. It was so spirit filled. It was so good. And then they had the funniest video about a ministry called New Life, and I was like, Charlotte, we got to go. And we tried to go, and it didn't work out the first Thursday. But then we ended up going, came and fell in love. Long story short, I haven't left since. But anyway, like the Lord just put everything in place, and I got involved in New Life and made friends. And then they were talking about interest for a worship team, and I was like, okay. I was like, do I say something? Do I let people just like find me out? Like, what do I do? Well, I ended up reaching out to one of the guys on our servant team, because I didn't know anyone else. And then he got me in contact with Zach, who they mentioned, who co-led last semester. And like he got my contact info. And then I end up at this worship meet, which is where I met Olivia and Anna and everyone. And like we were at this worship meet, and then it fell into place. And then ever since then, I've just been immersed in the worship in New Life. And like it was crazy. Like my life just kind of started to fall in place in Boone. Like I was in this team. I was surrounded by the most supportive people. But it's not necessarily supporting my pride, but it's supporting my humbleness and supporting like my worship towards the Lord. And then like the semester is ending, and then Anna like kind of comes up to me. I knew Zach was leaving. I knew that he wasn't gonna be the worship leader. And then Anna is like, we've been praying about it. Like I have been, Zach has been, the servant team has been praying about it. Marshall, our worship pastor, has been praying about it. And we think it's you. And I'm like, the same thing that Anna, I'm like, me? Like I'm so underqualified for that. Like, yeah, I might have been singing my whole life, and I might have been leading worship my whole life, but I feel so like unqualified. Like me actually being a leader of a team, I was like, there's no way. And also, like, I was one of the newest members on the team. I'm still the youngest person on the team, too. Yeah, I'm just, like, such a baby, but it's fine.
Are you still 18?
Yeah, I'm still 18. So I'm, like, so young. But also, the Lord doesn't despise youth ever.
Never.
Like, age is, no.
Nope.
That's never something the Lord, no. You can still be used so much no matter how old you are. Yeah.
It's so true.
And so anyway, like, I accepted it, and I said yes, which was scary, because Satan was saying, Aubrey, no, like, you're not supposed to do that. But then I was like, yes, I am. Like, my Father made me to worship him, and like he's gave me a calling to like share that with other people, and not just for other people to hear my voice, but so they can hear my worship and like hear my longing and my love for the Lord, because that's what worship is. And like when I lead worship, every single time I'm like, Lord, help me. Like, show me what to do and show me what to say or sing, because leading worship is not just singing. It's also about like speaking to who you're trying to like disciple to and like minister to, because like our words are so powerful. And then like I can't speak like that because there's a bunch of like jumble mess up in here, and if I just try to spew it out, it's not gonna work. But it's only through the power of the Lord that works.
That's right.
And so it's just been such an amazing experience. And then since coming to New Life and leading worship, like, you can ask them and their faces are gonna be like, when I say I've grown so much. Like, I've just grown so much in my walk with the Lord and what it means to truly worship, and like knowing the line between singing and like leading worship. And it's just so nice to like have the time in the secret place alone with the Lord and just let that carry out. Like, you can just be like so honest and open and just like put yourself in that place of worship. And it's just so good. So that's kind of like my story with worship. It's good. It's like jumbled, it might have been. But
No, it's so good. I think about that verse that says that true worshipers worship him in spirit and in truth. And I think about that. I feel like that's what it's been for you, is this year has been adding the spirit in. Like, how do I worship with God to God? You know, it's not just like me striving for something or performing for an audience or performing for the Lord, because I think sometimes that's really what it is too. It's not about performing for the people as much as it is like performing for him, but it's not even about that. It's like, how do I lock arms with Holy Spirit and like minister to the heart of God with Holy Spirit? And I feel like you've learned a lot of that, of like how to stop and prophesy over the room, or like your heart songs. I know we talk about that a lot, but I remember the first time my boyfriend heard you lead worship, and he like got a spiritual download immediately, and it wasn't about your voice, right? Like so many people have great voices, but it's like, it's the Spirit. It's the involvement of the Spirit, because he knows how to worship. You know, like he knows what the throne room scene looks like. You know, and so if he can teach us how to enter into that, because that's what you're doing as a worship leader. You're taking people into the throne room of God, because that's the ultimate worship scene. And if the one who's been there at the same time living in us can be the one to teach you how to lead other people in, like. It's wild, you know? It changes everything. Instead of, like you said, just getting up there and singing a song. Like, it's so different when we do it with him.
It is.
It's, like, the biggest difference. And, like, we were even... The Lord told me to wait to share this. Like, we were praying before we started this episode. And, like, the song... Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary was running through my mind the whole time. So good. And that's something the Lord will do too. I know he does it for Anna and probably Olivia. He just like gives us songs.
Something the Lord has been talking to me about more recently is that like what happens in the throne room, like the living creatures and the elders are constantly worshiping God and have been for all of eternity, and they're not tired of it. They've been looking at the same person, saying the same words over and over and over again, falling at his feet all the time for all of eternity, and they're not sick of it, they're not tired, they're not stopping. And so like what, like to behold, to lock eyes with that person, like, how could you not worship? Like, how could you not just fall at his feet? You know, like, I think I have an idea of God, and I worship that idea of God. But when I lock eyes with the person, something very different happens. Something very specific happens. You catch his vision, and you catch a puzzle piece of what's happening in the throne room.
Yeah.
No, that's so good. And like how you're saying, like the elders and the angels, like when they worship, it's all the time, and it's an incense that's like daily, and it's nonstop. Like that's gonna happen for eternity. Like that's never gonna stop. And then like when the song like "Prepare Me to Be a Sanctuary," it says "Prepare me to be pure and holy."
Wow.
Yeah.
And like whenever like I sing that and like I sing that to the Lord, like he's preparing my heart.
Right.
Because like when you think of a sanctuary, like that's the sacred place for the Lord. And like we're supposed to be the sacred place for the Lord.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to take up our cross daily and follow him. But like following Jesus and believing in him is not just saying, I believe in him. It's like, no, I wholeheartedly love him and believe in him, and I give up everything I have for him. And that's what worship is. Like we've said that worship is a lifestyle. Like it's an incense all the time, like night and day.
So
like
good.
it's always happening.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So true. It reminds me of like Old Testament, you know, like that word, like worship, that phrase, worship as an incense, comes from the like the physical animal sacrifice and the smell of that. Like,
so good.
and so that is what we're doing now. Like we are literally laying our lives on the altar and saying, here I am, you know, like all I have to offer is me, and I choose to give it to you. Like I give you everything.
That's good.
And that is what worship is. I remember I taught about worship recently, and I remember that sticking out to me so much. Like worship is sacrifice.
So good. That's so good. I think I just caught something, like when you said that, I realized that I think like worship, like when I think of the incense, I think of like perfume, but really what it is burning.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the smell of burning.
Smoke.
That's good.
And it's like
It's so good.
it's literally dying.
Yep.
That's the incense that he smells, and it smells good to him.
Yeah.
When we die.
Yeah.
When we die to ourselves.
Oh, that's so good.
I was like, oh my gosh.
It's the purification.
It's the burning away of me and the replacement of who he is.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Because I think about that, like, we can lock eyes with Jesus anytime, but I think that worship is the most common place that people do that.
Yeah.
And when we look at the man with fire in his eyes, like, our bodies can't help but respond, you know? And when that, like the word says, he is a fire.
Wow.
When we just look at the fire, when we get close to the fire, things start burning up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's painful and it's
so good.
hot.
Yeah.
And some people choose to step out when it
So
hurts.
good.
But that is what it means
So
to
good.
worship, is to step into the fire and say, if it's not you, I don't want it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stand here until I look like you.
Yeah. I had this encounter with Jesus in the shower, and I had been asking him, like, I asked him one time, actually, Lord, I want to feel you, like, physically feel your presence. Like, I want, like, my skin to feel it or to taste it, like, on my tongue, like, so tangibly.
Yeah.
And after a couple minutes, I was in the shower, and I felt like I had accidentally bumped the nozzle of the shower to the hot, and my skin was burning, and I hopped out of the shower, and I looked around, and the thing was in the right spot, and I was like, what? And I realized it was the Lord, and he said to me, you will burn for me, and you're going to want to hop out. And I was like, that's not what I meant. But
So good.
I'm reminded of that all the time, because I thought it was this one specific thing that he was speaking to.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to realize that it's literally how I live. And it's every single aspect of my life. When he calls me to something new, am I willing to burn for him? Am I willing to die for him?
Right.
And, like, my first instinct is always to hop out, to be done, to give up. But the pressing forth is like going from sitting beside the fire and feeling the warmth and having all of the manifestations of what it looks like to follow Jesus.
Right.
Like, you can experience God without fully being with him and knowing him and being submitted to him. And so, like, sitting beside the fire versus jumping in it, like, that's very different. and it feels very different, and it's hard, and persecution follows, and all of these things. And so, like, it's so cool. Like, I think I just realized that, like, worship is one of those things. It's like you die. Every time you purely and fully worship the Lord with whatever that looks like, you're dying, and it hurts. Yeah. It doesn't always feel good. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Two things. Number one, it reminds me of, like, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah,
and it's bringing, like, a whole new revelation to that story. Like, I never was thinking about...
Yeah, I wasn't either.
The other side I was thinking about, they wouldn't deny their faith, so they were persecuted, and then the Lord was there with them. But, like, really following Jesus is jumping in the fire with him. Like, that's the whole thing. Like,
it's so cool. That's it's like, the story never says, and they felt no pain.
Yeah.
Or, and they didn't feel their skin burning up, or they didn't feel, you know, like, they didn't burn, but I'm sure that it wasn't just, it was like,
probably hot.
It was hot. Yeah, exactly. And so it's just, it's cool to, like,
that's so cool.
I think I heard something really recently where it was like, the Lord didn't save them from the fire, he saved them in the fire. Wow. And, like, they had to go in the fire for the Lord to deliver them. Like, I think a lot of times they're like, Lord, like, take this away, but it's like, sometimes you have to go in it. Sometimes you have to feel the pain a little bit. Sometimes you have to, like, let the like, things burn off of you, and then the Lord is gonna save you, you know?
That's so
like
good.
It's sanctification.
So
and that's his desire
so
for us.
Good.
Like,
you gotta get uncomfortable.
He doesn't want us just to keep on trucking in life and never change and never look more like him. Then we're not following him.
It's so cool because I feel like all of our, like, us three, like, our story with, like, leading worship is the process of understanding how to die. Yeah. And, like, how to 100%. Publicly die. Yeah. And, like, like, in front of people, submitting yourselves. And, like, there was this moment at New Life, our college ministry, the other week, and the Lord one by one moved people up on leadership to the front of the room on their face before him. Yeah. Sobbing, crying out, like, just absolutely obliterated on the floor. Yeah. And it was so cool because I think it was you that told me, it was like, that's exactly where we lead from.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And one by one, people started going up. And then he said, your turn. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you taking the whole leadership team up there one by one? Yeah. And he said, so you can learn how to lead. And I was like,
so
got it.
So good.
Yes, sir.
So good. That just reminds me of a time that you honestly brought it up. I mean, I experienced it, but you recently brought it up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's so true. Where there's been multiple times this school year where the Lord has asked me to sing a song that I'm not confident in, that my voice is not confident in, and I don't think I sound good in. And so I remember, like, the first time that happened, I literally went up to our worship pastor who was playing guitar, and I was like, Marshall, I don't want to sing this song. I don't want to do it. I don't think my voice sounds good. I don't want to. But the Lord asked me to, and I will. Yeah. And it was like, it's such a dying of the flesh. It's such a dying of, like, what others think of you. And that is such a battle that I've fought, like, all year, especially this semester. Yeah. Because the enemy would just attack me, and he would, like, be like, okay, let's take her voice and let's take your voice and let's compare them. And let's see how much more talented she is than you. And it's such a battle. I mean, it comes back to comparison with anything in life. It doesn't have to be music. It doesn't have to be worship. But the Lord just so many times, he said, you know, I was singing this song that I sang at New Life a couple weeks after he told me this. It's I Love You, Lord. And the ending of it says, lift my voice to worship you. Rejoice. Okay, it says, take joy, my King, in what you hear. May it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. And when I sang that, because I'll, like, in my secret place, the Lord will put, in my secret place, the secret place, the Lord will put songs in my heart, and I'll just sing them. And after I got done singing that, the Lord said, when you sing, I smile. And that was all I needed. That was literally all I needed, is that note. It doesn't matter if I sing off key. It doesn't matter if my voice is too high or too low. I can sing off key the entire time. In fact, there's people in my life, like my boyfriend and my dad, cannot sing on key for anything. And every single time I sit next to them and worship, it makes me so happy, not because they're off key, but because they don't care. They don't care that they're off key and they're worshiping the Lord.
Yeah.
And so it was just so good. The Lord just kept on reminding me of, it's like, I can't sing off key enough for him. Like, it literally does not matter.
So
it does
good.
not matter, as long as my God is happy with me, which he is. It's not a if he's happy with me. He is when I sing to him. He is when I worship him. It doesn't matter. And that is just such a lesson that the Lord has taught me, and is honestly continuing to teach me. Something that he's put on my heart all week is that the only qualification that I have, that we have, that the servant team have, that New Life has, that all Christians have, is the blood. That's it. Period. It's the great equalizer, and it doesn't make me better than you. It doesn't make you better than me. It doesn't make my talents better than yours. Nothing we can hold and say mine is greater than yours, because the only reason why we're here, the only reason why any of us are here, is because of the blood, and that's it. Not by our works, not by my striving, not by my voice, not by my ability. I could sing like the most beautifully in the world, and it still wouldn't be enough, because it's only by the blood.
That's like mic drop.
That was good. That's honestly, the Lord's been teaching me that. It's all
I can tell. That was
so good. And something that like when you said that, I was like, oh, this is so cool, is that like comparison, like I've heard it said, when we take our eyes off him and look around, that's when comparison creeps in. And something the Lord just showed me is that when we do that, it's no longer worship. So why wouldn't the enemy want you as a worship leader to take your eyes off the king and to put it around the other people that you're leading beside? And to say, oh, her dying process is better than mine. What?
It's crazy.
Like, that doesn't even make sense, right? Because when you do that, no longer are you in worship. No longer are you fixated on who he is. You're fixated on who you are, your calling, your ministry, which is worship, which you're no longer doing. And so it's like, oh, you know,
what's
like,
the point?
duh. Like, duh, he would do that. But, like, the whole point is to just lock eyes with him and to never look away.
That's so good.
But I'm curious, because like we've talked a lot about like leading, like what is your experience with what worship looks like in the secret place for you?
That's good.
That's really good.
Put you on the spot.
No, I don't feel on the spot. I
Okay.
want to know what I'm allowed to share. I'm not gonna share everything.
Okay.
Worship for me is that. It is secret. Like, I'm about to cry thinking about it. Worship for me, like, it is the secret place with him. Like,
So good.
That's so beautiful.
I'm like asking permission right now. Worship for me in the secret place is typically new songs. And it is like one of the most intimate places with me and him that like nobody really knows about. He just gives me songs, and sometimes I'll like record like a little snippet of it so I don't forget it, and I can remember that with him. It's been something that I felt really covered in. There was a season where several people in my life that I trusted spoke leading worship over me. And then he showed me this image of an eagle, of course, and he did like this. Like, he swooped me up and he covered me with his feathers, and he said, "This is for me."
Wow.
And he said, "When I want them to see, they will see.
Wow.
But for now, this is for us." And I was like,
Yes.
Cool. Like, and so ever since then, that's exactly what it's been.
So good.
It's been like, I would say it's the place of deepest intimacy with him.
So sweet.
And I love it. It's
So
just
sweet.
like, it's just time with my dad, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I think this is common for a lot of people, but like, it's the place where I get the most downloads from him, or like questions or answers to questions I've been asking for a long time, or just the deepest revelation. Like, I get to know his character so much in worship, I think.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, like, when you lock eyes with him and it's no longer the idea of him, which is an idol, it's like genuinely him. And I remember for several months last semester, I was like praying about marriage, like super hard, when, and like all these things. I need you to confirm this, I need you to do this, I need you to do this. And in the prayer room at the church on Wednesday nights, he would give me vision after vision of him as my husband. And he would be like, come lay with me. Or like, just like these, it was kind of weird. Like, it sounds really weird, but he like taught me what it looks like to be loved by a perfect husband. And
So good.
how to be full in
So
that
good.
without being married.
Yeah.
And
So good.
I don't know. I would just say worship for me is where I learn who he is and who I am.
It's
And
so good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think it just speaks volumes. Like, to hear, like, it's one thing to hear from people that have led from a stage. And it is different when you look at someone and ask them what it means to them and their eyes fill with tears.
Yeah.
And it's so intimate and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what it is. Like, it's intimacy. It's just the sweetest thing. So if you take one thing away from like what it looks like to worship, like that picture of just like tears filling in your eyes, like beholding your king, your father, your friend, the person that loves you the most, like that's what worship is.
Yeah.
So something like I kind of wanted to bounce off of is like, I don't know like how many people have said it, but you keep saying like keeping your eyes on Jesus and like locking eyes with him, and then like when you take it off, it's not worship. It's like when you were talking about that, it just took me back to Peter and like when Peter was walking on the water, and so he could only walk on the water when he was like eyes on the Lord,
good.
trusted him fully. And like that's how I think of worship, because when I take my eyes off of the Lord, it all goes to shambles.
It's so
Like
good.
it all falls apart. I become prideful. I care about how I sing. I choose the songs I want to sing. I choose the songs like I sound good in.
Yeah.
So like, and that also brought me to this point. This past week, like y'all, this is so recent. Like my allergies have been just like kicking in.
Yeah.
And like I was supposed to lead last Thursday and Sunday at actual church. And I was like, Lord, there's no way. Because I literally had lost my voice.
Wow.
I was so hoarse. And also with school in that week, I had a huge test for one of my classes. And also I was signing up for classes for the fall semester.
Right.
And there was so much unknown that I was like, Lord, I truthfully cannot do it.
Yeah.
And so I had to put it all in his hands and have full faith. And I had to keep my eyes on him like Peter the whole time and just walk on the water.
So good.
Like I should not be able to walk, but I was, because my eyes were on him. And like I would like kind of start to drift and I would like go right back. I would sink a little bit and come right back. And he got me through every single time. Like Sunday especially. And this is something you guys could probably attest to more, but like the song that I led, I did not want to sing it. One, my voice could not do it. Like I tried, I could not find the key. It was not working. I felt so unconfident. And like that doesn't always happen, because I'm like, Lord, it's okay. But I was so nervous and so not confident, and I did not choose it. But then the Lord honored my uncomfortability. And something that we've been talking about the whole time is like worship is sacrifice, and it's being uncomfortable. And like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when you get in that fire, he's right there. And like they came out with their clothes singed, right? But their skin wasn't. Like their clothes were singed because they had covering. And like that's what I think about. Like Jesus is my covering.
So
and like even when I'm uncomfortable, if I have full faith in him, like he's gonna get me through. And like Caroline, you shared like when you talked to us about worship at New Life, like that stuck with me. I'm sure that stuck with you too. Like it was so good. And something you said was like worship should cost us something.
That's right.
Because like what are we doing if it doesn't? Right? And that's just like kind of what the Lord's been teaching me is like to fully like be a worship leader, I have to lead by example. And that's something he's taught me. And it's like, Aubrey, if you're not leading from a place of humility and from a place of just truly trying to like walk on the water with me, like you're gonna sink and it's not gonna work. Because if I don't have faith in the Lord, do I have faith in myself, right? Because if I don't have faith in him, where else is it going? And that's a very dangerous spot, especially as a leader, that you can't put yourself or your team in. Because then you're just like compromising everything, you know?
It's good.
That's so true.
Yeah, going off that, something that the Lord kind of taught me this past semester, has been teaching me, is that being a worship leader and being entrusted to choose songs is not choosing a song that is ministering to you right now. It's a song that is for the congregation. And I remember something that happened this past semester. The Lord will do this throughout all seasons of my life. He will give me a song that is for that season that I'll worship to, I'll claim as truth. Like I'll fight spiritual warfare with it. I'll cry with him on the floor. Like that's like my song for a season. And for a season of this past semester, it Is Well by Bethel worship. And it was just so vulnerable with me. It was so intimate with just me and the Lord. I mean, I had cried with him to that song so many times. And I was at church, at my parents' church, one Sunday, and they led that song. And it is not like a new song. And that, my church, parents go to mega church, like they sing like new songs. And it was not a new song. It's not a new song. And it was like, just felt like it wasn't just happenstance that they were singing that song. And the Lord was like, that's what you're singing on Thursday. And I was like, Lord, no. Like, I don't want to, something that I struggle with in my walk is that like, I don't want to let people into spots that is like, it's like hard for me, like it's vulnerable. I don't want to share that with anyone else but him. Like that is just for me and you. I don't want to give that away, especially not on a stage. Like no, I don't want to do that
in front of people you know.
In front of people I know. Like I just was like, Lord, no, this is just for me and you. And he was like, no, it's not. Like, it's for the congregation. There's people there that need to hear what you have to say and need to hear these words, and so you're going to sing it. I was like, okay, God. And
that's so good.
In math class, the day, like, literally, like, hours before I was going to lead that song, he just downloaded, like, he was like, I want you to talk before, and this is what I want you to say. I was like, okay. And so I did. And I, like, obviously I wasn't in the congregation. That was me, like, talking. But I really felt like what the Lord had said, that it was for the congregation, came true. Like, I saw that in people. And I saw that it was what people needed. And it wasn't just me. And so I think it's so cool that the Lord is so kind to use what ministers to my heart to ministers to others. You know, and sometimes, like I was saying, we go through things not for ourselves, not for like to get me through this, but so that I can share it with you. You know, like sometimes we go through hardships, sometimes we get placed in certain seasons of our lives, not for ourselves, but for someone else. You know? And it was just like, it was hard, but it was sweet to see how the Lord, like, was like, no, I'm knitting this together and I'm going to cover it. Like you're saying, you know?
So well, like, for me, especially, like, like I've shared, like I've kind of grown up in it, and so I've seen it done in very different ways. Like I've seen people where you don't speak at all, which is fine. Like I've seen where you don't speak at all. I've seen where you just sing. I've seen where you completely lead worship, and I see where you cry. Like I mean, like weep on stage in front of people. Because like one of my worship leaders at home, like he gets real, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And something like the Lord, the way He's made me is I'm a very open person. I'm also a very compassionate person.
You are.
And so, all by the grace of the Lord. But the thing that He teaches me, especially with leading, is that I lead from honest compassion. And so when I go through something, if He tells me to share it, I'm going to share it. Whether embarrassing or like, ooh, a perfect Christian doesn't go through that. We're not perfect, and no one's ever perfect. But like He has me share that to help someone else and help someone else feel supported. Because like a lot of times in my walk, especially like as a Christian in leadership especially, and also like I grew up in church, like my dad was a pastor. I've always been a part of the church where people like knew me and like eyes were on me all the time, and so it puts a lot of pressure on you. But like something that the Lord has taught me is to like be that voice, because there were so many times like I just felt alone when I was going through things, but the Lord has said, you're going to be my compassionate leader. Like one of the first things that Anna and I did when I joined the worship team, being like co-leaders with her, is I sat down with the team and I said, we support you. And like we see you. And like everything that is from the Lord, go with it. And we're right there with you. And that's just something I've always felt as a leader, because that's also sharing the Lord's love. And like on a stage, especially like if we're not being real, Jesus was real. Like He didn't share stuff that people just wanted to hear. Like they didn't want to hear that they couldn't live in their sins, right? But He shared it anyway, out of the love and compassion of His heart.
Yeah, something that the Lord is like bringing me to right now is actually like thinking about the disciples and like when He called them and how they gave up everything for them, and how true worship is that. Like we keep talking about is to lay your life down, or to like do these things from the stage that look so crazy or unexpected, and it's just like you go where the Lord leads you, not where it's comfortable or all of those things. But when the Lord called Matthew to be His disciple, Matthew said, I have to go and bury my friend or my family member first. And Jesus said, leave the dead to bury the dead. And so he left. Like, he didn't bury that person. He didn't go attend the funeral for the dead. He went with life. Like, he chose to go with true life. And, like, that looked crazy to people. And the Lord just brought me to this passage that makes no sense, which is why I was, like, looking it up on my commentary, because I was like, what? But it says, it's in Matthew chapter 10, verse 34. It says, do you not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth? I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a person's enemies will be those in his own household. Whoever loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. And, like, I was looking at the commentary because I was like, what does that mean? I have not come to bring peace but a sword. And it said that Jesus isn't saying that he hasn't come to bring peace to the earth through his resurrection like we know he did, like peace between him and God. But he's come to bring like a sword, as in like a dividing sword between those who follow Jesus and those who don't. And I'm thinking about worship and what it means to lay your life down. And it means that people are going to come against you that aren't just people that hate God outwardly. It's the people in your own house that think they know him. And it's like people in the church that think they know him. It's the Pharisees. The Pharisees were the most mad people about Jesus. And like a little bit later it says, it's talking about John the Baptist, and it says he like came and was preaching the true gospel, and they thought he had a demon.
Yeah.
And Jesus came, and what did they say? They said, "You're demonized." And it was the Son of God.
Yeah.
And so it's like, these are the Pharisees, the people that knew religion the best, that knew the law the best. They had the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy memorized. And they were the people that Jesus was the most straight up with.
Yeah.
Like, you got to follow me or get out, brother.
Yeah.
Like, this is not, you think that you're preaching the gospel, and yet you're sending the Son of God away to be crucified.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Crazy.
life or death. Like, this
Yeah.
is serious stuff. And I think someone told me one time that, like, leading worship is worship shepherding. And so it's like, where you're going, they're going. And if I'm going to the feet of Jesus, that's where they're going. But there, you can't bring anything else with you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have these other idols in the back of your mind. When you're in his presence, it says his presence is an all-consuming fire. It consumes everything that's not like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about this, like, sacrifice of, like, our flesh literally burning up, it's also, like, everything that doesn't look like him, and sometimes the things that look like him are crazy, like leaving dead people to be buried by the dead, and leaving your family behind, and choosing the Lord over everything, even good things, even people that love God or say they do, and choose religion over him, like even people that look like leaders. Like, it's just hard, because I think we could get shallow with it and say the church, but really some of the church are Pharisees still, and we have to get real and say, who am I following? That's something I've been convicted of recently, is like, not saying I'm a Christian, not saying I go to church, not saying I read the Bible. Like, I'm a follower of Jesus. Where he goes, I go. What he says, I say. What he tells me to do, I'm going to do. I'm an obedient follower of Jesus. That's my identity.
Yeah.
And so to live that out looks like to go to dark places and to shine the light. Like, to be a light, to look crazy. And it's hard. Like, it's no joke. But when you give him your life like that, there's this covering. And right before, sorry, I'm talking a lot, but there's this verse right before, and it says, "Do not fear those who kill the body and cannot kill the soul. Rather fear him who can destroy both in heaven and hell." Or both the body and the soul in hell, sorry. "And are not two sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. But even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are worth more value than many sparrows. So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I will also acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will deny before my Father who is in heaven." Like, we have no fear of darkness, which is why we can go to dark places, which is why we can follow him with everything in us and not be afraid. Like, there's not fear, but it is a choice. It is a decision, like, to decide. I love this. To decide means to cut something out. Like, you are drawing a line. You're saying no to everything else. And when you do that, like, you decide to follow Jesus, you cut the world out, even people that think they know him out, and you choose him, and you're going to dark places, but there's no fear there. Like, you win, period. We were even talking about, like, being a martyr for faith, and, like, that's a different conversation, but, like, someone said, like, that is the silliest thing they could do. You're literally putting me where I've been locked. Like, I have been sitting there with him for hours upon hours, dreaming of that moment when I get to look at him face to face, and you're just putting me there with him. Like, there's no fear in it. There's joy in it. It's so cool. I don't know.
No, that's so good. Like, you kept saying the word fear. And that's so funny, because the Lord is just playing the bridge of "See You Right" by NBL Worship. And that's, like, one of my favorite worship songs that I've recently discovered. And it runs through my mind all the time. And, like, it's in my opinion, like, it's what worship is.
Yeah.
Like, the chorus is like, I pour out all my oil and I wet your feet with tears. Like,
So
that is
good.
pouring out everything you have to the Lord and laying at his feet weeping. And then, like, the bridge, it says, fear of man would leave tonight, and I'm letting go of all my pride.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm loving you undignified to make the Pharisees see right.
Yeah.
And, like, something I never want to do is fall into a religion thing
Yeah.
and just, like, get up and sing and then get down.
Yeah.
Act like I had an encounter with the Lord and I didn't. Because, like, that's religion.
Yeah.
But, like, being a follower of Christ, and I love that you said that, because you said that to me on Sunday night. And ever since you said that, it's been ringing through my mind that no, I'm not just a Christian, I'm a follower of Christ.
Yeah.
Because that just has so much more weight.
Yeah.
And, like, when I say I'm a follower of him, I think it puts a lot more responsibility on me.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Yeah.
if you say that you follow him and you don't, then people see that a
Right.
lot more, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know. I just think one of the biggest things about leading worship is that you let the fear of man leave. And that
Yeah.
means letting
You have
people
to.
pleasing leave.
Yeah.
Because something I've learned here is, like, people say that saying that you're a people pleaser is just a really cute way of saying that you're a very prideful person.
Guess who says that?
Yeah, I know.
Caroline.
No, I knew that it was you that said that. I just couldn't think of the thing. But no, it's so true.
Yeah.
And I think, like, with worship, you have to let go of that prideful place. And, like, something the Lord has been teaching me is just to come very humbly and just fall at the feet of him.
So good.
So
Yeah.
good.
I think a lot of what you guys are getting to is something. It's so interesting that somehow we got here, when this has been something the Lord's been teaching me in this season, but also something that specifically today I've seen in the life of someone who, in my opinion, is shepherding people very well. But it is that if you follow Jesus wholeheartedly, especially in leadership, it doesn't take leadership, but even it's like amplified in leadership, you will be persecuted. Like,
Yeah.
you will. And it goes right back to having our eyes locked on him.
Yeah.
If they are there, then when the storms start to go and, like, things get crazy and the church is coming against you and your family is coming against you, like, if it costs you everything, if your eyes are locked on him, he's still worth it.
So good.
Which is so funny. The Lord gave me this verse or this scripture a long time ago. So I know this episode is getting pretty long, so I'm going to wrap up with this scripture, but it's Psalm 63. Oh God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, which you brought up earlier, beholding your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, that we would be willing to die, right?
Wow.
My lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. In your name I will lift up my hands. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips. When I remember you upon my bed and meditate on you in the watches of night, which reminds me of the secret place. For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy. I talked about his wings. What is happening? This is wrapping up everything.
So good.
Praise the Lord.
My soul clings to you. Your right hand upholds me. But those who seek to destroy my life shall go down into the depths of the earth. They shall be given over to the power of the sword. What? I didn't even read this.
Come
He just said
on.
Psalm
Oh my
63.
gosh.
Wow.
They shall be a portion for jackals.
That's so good.
But the king, this is David writing about himself, shall rejoice in God. All who swear by him shall exult, for the mouths of liars will be stopped.
wow. Wow.
Good.
God is so funny.
He is.
That is
was
crazy.
so
I knew
good.
that was about worship. I didn't know it was about every single thing we've talked about.
That was legit every single point that we hit.
I know.
Yeah. Won't he do
So
it?
Psalm 63.
So good.
But yeah, I think just to wrap it up, like, to worship him is to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And to worship him truly means persecution salvation is coming.
Yeah.
But when it does, he's our defender.
Yeah.
And then
So good.
he's worthy of being worshipped right there again.
Yeah.
You know, it's his character.
Yeah,
So
it
worthy.
flows from intimacy with him, and when you have that, like, it's worth everything.
Mhm.
But when you try to lead from a place of faking intimacy,
Yeah.
suddenly it's no longer worth
Ground
it
gets
because
shaky.
you never had it to start with. So good.
That's so good.
So true.
Yeah.
He's worth it all, truly.
He is.
And like living in a lifestyle worship is one of the best things you can ever do.
Yeah.
You just lay your life down for him every day.
Yeah.
And I would recommend it to anyone.
It's true.
So
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's not about a stage.
Mhm.
I think
Nope.
every worship, anything, always talks about that, but it's not about a
Mhm.
stage.
Mhm.
It's about just the heart of the
Heart.
Father.
It is.
Um,
Locking eyes with him, like we've been talking about this whole time.
yeah.
our dad.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, this has been such a fun episode. I feel like it's been revelation after revelation.
Yeah.
No,
Literally.
This has been so fun. It's just like talking with my best friends. It's
See?
so fun.
Exactly. Well, we love you guys tons. Thank y'all for listening, and I'm just so excited for what the Lord is doing. But we'll talk to you next week.